Peace, peace, peace. Peace, Natasha. Peace, peace. What's up, what's up, what's up? Peace, let me turn this mic down a bit. Let me turn the mic down. Yeah, that's a little better. Alright, cool. We good. Alright, now let me turn that down. Alright, okay, we should be good. Peace, peace. Silence by Luna. Peace, peace, peace. Peace, peace. Peace, Nefertiti. Peace, peace, Queen. Peace, peace. You already know what time it is. You already know, so let me put on some tunes. You already know. We put on some tunes. Let everybody come in and we get straight to it. Alright, let me 1 second, here we go.
Mask on my eyes, can't remember my face. I'm in a gaucho's date with babe. Flicks to the left, let the pepper stay. It's uptown, think she in love, now I'm blowing her back when she says my name. And my bro's got his wrist on bust down, he ain't even know about mortgage claim. I remember them nights in a walk-out, smarty and weed, I don't know about pop down. Got a drop now, think I'm insane. Left that soul looking rouge and beige. And the up boy brass like copper. 3 A.A.R, 3 bro, 3 chopper. Felton, workshop is hot now. Brick on the sock with his head on bust down. Water. Spend a jib on the monk, try drip like water. FaceTime in the sun with a hooker. Off that pipe with a pussy on water. Real bad boys make a drip like water. So I told her booze, no cap. I did it in John, drench him like water. Drip like water. If I bang this dots, I ain't bathing in water. Guns on the freeze outside tryna lock my quarters. And I just got an ass off Abti. Need me cigar, so pass me a porter. Canteen shit, no Gary. Tryna get game, so it's on some water. Unlock my door, look, bust. I've been banging this stool for the longest time, tryna summon a gov. And I ain't had a shot, so I flood my sink with water and dove. And it's checks at 9 when I bust my flap, I just hide my mash. Water. Never 2 to the count, that's water. I was stuck in a dirty block. Came out to a Porsche sauna. Next door club, ride that block. Just shitty these cells, gotta smell that odor. Youngest in charge on the wings, still hitting them shots like I'm Jason Walker. Youngest in charge on the strip, I did it with weed, that crack, that Yola. Whip that work, plug in church, full juice, the holy water. I did man first, clap that nerd, I'm sitting in block like a loner. Whip that work, plug in church, full juice, not holy water. I smell juice, not holy water. Water. Spend a jib on the monk, try drip like water. FaceTime in the sun with a hooker. Off that pipe with a pussy on water. Real bad boys make a drip like water. So I told her booze, no cap. I did it in John, drench him like water. Drip like water. If I bang this dots, I ain't bathing in water. Guns on the freeze outside tryna lock my quarters. And I just got an ass off Abti. Need me cigar, so pass me a quarter. Canteen shit, no Gary. Tryna get gas, so it's on some water.
I love Chris Rich.
I just got a drop, send me an addy, I put it in ways and I'm hunting them down. And you'll spin that block, I do it and burn this drip. This coke cause it's dead of the brown. The shorties are fuck, mixing the drinks, definitely fucking the hennies around. Bitch, you're fuck, mixing the drinks, we definitely fuck with the hennies around. I just got a drop, send me an addy, I put it in ways and I'm hunting them down. And you'll spin that block, I do it and burn this drip. This coke cause it's dead of the brown. The shorties are fuck, mixing the drinks, definitely fucking the hennies around. Bitch, she a fuck, mixing the drinks, we definitely fucking the hennies around. Drippy, drilly, I see her up and get busy. I see it up and get litty for really no talk, I'll lift it back for my killie. King of my city, McMillie. Get one in your head if you're singing like Drizzy Drake. Mercedes coupe, put in sport. Wait, she's telling me wait. I give her this dick, then I pass to my mate. I'm getting this money to hate. LV so banging your mates. She like the way that I dance. The hammer's body popping. Off-white of the sleeve I'm rocking. Drip too hard, now she wanna suck it. Like the way that I dance. But the hammer's body popping. Off-white of the sleeve I'm rocking. Drip too hard, now she wanna suck it. Suck it. Ooh, God. Ooh, loof.
No. The mic over here. What's up? No, I'm not gonna take credit for that. That's that UK drill. What's going on, everybody? Anyway, we back in there. So we definitely not done yet. You know, I just gave everybody else a break. You know, because we went 6 hours, so I just gave everybody else a break. But we know the spirit still flows, so we still got work to put in. So nonetheless, we already understand that. Let me actually pull this up on screen. Let's see. 1 second here. All right. Let me see if I can have something on in the background. I'm gonna turn it down a bit so it'll just be background music. So I'll just have something on playing. 1 second. Get some background music going and we'll get straight to it. Since the sun is up now, so there's no telling what will occur. So we'll at least have some background music. Yeah, let's try this. But once again, we understand that we are now in Sagittarius season. We are now in the mutable fire, so just letting everybody know this, bringing in the Sagittarius energy. Obviously, Sagittarius been in the last 2 days. All right, here we go. Yeah, all right, I'll just keep that a little lower. All right. So let me plug up the iPad here. Give me 1 second. Plug the iPad up.
I swear your woman is German. She a freak in the sheets. If her man fed up, then it's curtains.
1 second, let me hook it up right now.
In a banner camp, YK2 active is concerning.
Get the penmanship going.
Us, would you hold this weapon, hide my drugs, fill that hammer with slugs and keep it real when I butt that judge? I just wanna know, one clear coat and a skills of gold. All the bars, hacker sound, we don't do more crowd, cause that shit is old. Uptown from Quebec, here.
Let's see if it works.
We've been round there like 100 times, all now and they ain't seen payback. M on the whip, points.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna set it up.
12 hours in them dungeon cells, so it's PTSD when I think back cool. Hit no glove cause she loved that raw. Bitch don't lie, you done it before. Bitch don't lie, you done it before. You done it before. I hit no glove cause you love that raw. Bitch don't lie, you done it before.
Anyway, as spoken about last time, this is the 23rd day, so this is definitely the day of reverse, the law reversal, actually. Let me turn this down a little bit more. Give me 1 second. Turn this down a bit more. YK2 active is concerning. But back to us, would you hold this weapon? Alright. What's up, Morbid Clown? Alright, so give me 1 second. Get this iPad screen up. We'll be good to go. There we go. Okay. So again, you know, I didn't actually break out the iPad last time. Just running my mouth. So this time I want to make sure we get to the penmanship. So 1 second here. Let me make sure it's not under anything. Okay, in the meantime, let's see while I'm getting all this connected up. If we break down today's mathematics, 11/23/2021, what do we get? We obviously know that the 2021 gives us a 5 and the 23rd day gives us a 5. So when we add those double 5s to the 11, we have 11 plus 55 essentially. But let's actually add up the individual numbers collectively. So I'm going to use a calculator to do that. So we'll see what is the overall number of the day. So let me do it that way. So I'm going to add up each individual number. So we add up each individual number. 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. Actually, no, I'm going to actually make it 23 instead of 2 plus 3. So it'll be 11 plus 23. There we go. Plus 20 plus 21. That gives us 75. So the numerology takes us to 75. We know 75 to be Neptune and the energy of Mercury. So what happens when Neptune and Mercury comes together? We understand Neptune to represent the unconscious mind, and we understand Mercury to represent the not necessarily conscious mind, but the logical mind or the scientific mind. So we have a combination of the scientific mind combined with, you can say, mediumship. So essentially, Mercury and Neptune become scientific mediumship. So if Mercury and Neptune become scientific mediumship, then that's essentially the process it took to download the periodic table. And again, for those who may not be familiar with the story of the periodic table, the inventor of the periodic table said that they received it through a channel, right? Let me turn the music back on. So the inventor of the periodic table said that they didn't create it. They received it. So they did not take credit for it. They said they received it. They saw it in the ethers, and essentially they documented what they saw. So essentially the periodic table existed already. So whoever downloaded it got reintroduced to it and reintroduced the world to what was already known. This would be an example of scientific mediumship. Mediumship for the purposes of scientific advancement. Right, so mediumship for the purposes of scientific advancement. So today would be the day to focus upon not just mediumship, because again, we can break this down many different ways. So for example, another way to look at it, because we don't have to strictly stay there, because Neptune would also represent the abyss. Again, if we take it to the tarot, so we just put it that way. If we take it to the tarot, The two energies that come together is the energy of the magician and the energy of the hanged man. So if we look at the energy of the magician and the hanged man, which let me pull the tarot cards out so you guys can get a visual of this. So I'm going to pull out the hanged man, and I'm going to also pull out the magician. And we'll see what conclusion we come up with. So here's the magician. And there we go. Okay. So here we have the hanged man. Seen here. I think I have this upside down. I do. Okay. So this is a man, as they call the hanged man, having a spiritual experience, self-inflicted spiritual experience. So you see his foot is hanging from an ankh, while his foot hangs from the ankh, or you could say his source light, he descends into what we call planet Earth, or the planetary waters. And there he discovers the serpent. So you can say Neptune represents a descent into the abyss, or the waters of the planet Earth, as we call hell. The descent into hell, a willing descent into hell. Then when we combine that with the magician, who walks between worlds, who walks between dimensions, the dimension walker, when a dimension walker comes together with the idea of the descent into the underworld, to descend into the underworld. So what are you doing there, essentially? So what process of alchemy is it showing us? Because now we have to take it to the tree of life, or the Kabbalah. Because once we take it to the Kabbalah, the hanged man is a path between Geburah and Hud, or Mars and Mercury. So the hanged man would be the result of the planetary combinations of Mars and Mercury, or Mercury and Mars. So essentially, if we combine the elements of Mercury and Mars, or the planetary influences of Mercury and Mars, that gives us a result of, could you say Mars is the engineer, right? So you have the scientists and the engineer coming together. Now that gives us a enterprising spirit. So in other words, a scientific entrepreneur. But let's take it a step further. Geburah is one of the tunnels that lead into the clip-off. So you can access the clip-off not just through Doth, but also through Geburah. Hud represents spell work. So essentially, if we look at the hanged man, the ideas that are coming together is clip-offic spell work, and this is essentially it's a descent into the underworld. The purpose of descending into the underworld is for a clip-offic spell work. That would be the purpose of descending into the underworld, and you were doing so through the guidance of the magician, who is androgynous, So this is feminine and masculine, and that's why the magician is seen walking between the worlds, using masculine and feminine force. That's also why you see the serpent in the waters. And we understand the Kundalini represents two serpents, one masculine, one feminine. We also see that the hanged man represents the element of sulfur in reverse, the 3 points. We can call it the Holy Trinity or the Triple Goddess. All of these will be relevant. So whether the Holy Trinity is the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, or the Father, Mother, and Child, however you decode the Holy Trinity, you can say this is the energy of the suffering or the suffrage of the Christ when the Christ descends into the underworld. And that's where the Christ truly suffers. It's not even on the physical plane. It is in the descent to Sheol for those final tests to liberate humanity from the original sin. So this is what we call the great work. Doing work for the greater whole. And again, the magician is able to communicate those infernal messages, as Mercury is a communicator. So Mercury is a messenger. So because the hanged man is descending into the underworld and Mercury becomes the messenger, so this becomes messages from the underworld, messages from the dead, messages from the inferno. All of these will be relevant. Messages from the abyss, messages from Thoth, messages from the gnosis, messages from death. All of these attributes will be relevant. Now if we add the 5 and the 7, that gives us 12, and of course when we add the 1 and the 2, that gives us 3, taking us right back to Jupiter, as we know as the Wheel of Fortune. So of course, you know, these cards that came up in the last video, but I'm giving a new perspective, because Jupiter would then represent high magic. So if we look at the descent into the underworld from the hanged man, and then the messages from the underworld, the messages from Thoth or the clip-off, communications. So essentially what the magician is showing is the magician neither favors nor despises the clip-off forces in this case. As you see, the face on the magician, you know, is very gracious. So the magician has no problem walking between the Kabbalah and the clip-off. So the hanged man wants to descend into the clip-off. Obviously, the magician has no problem doing so. And the purposes that will be accomplished by walking between the worlds is what we call high magic, as Jupiter represents high magic. High magic just represents ceremonial magic, or theurgy. Theurgy just represents divination with the spirit. So the purpose of this is to achieve divination, descent into the underworld and walking between the worlds, so that you are androgynous. You must enter into the tree of death as an androgynous being in order to perform what is called high magic. See, you know, most people are concerned with what we call low magic, but this is what we are talking about, high magic. The difference between low magic and high magic is high magic specifically is dealing with not just the stars, but again, theurgy, alchemy, and astrology, right? As they call the 3 wisdoms. So now you're dealing with the greater mysteries and the greater forces. So essentially you become the high magician. So essentially the magician is the low magician, or the magus. So the magus is the low magician, but once the magus fuses with the hangman, that makes the low magician or the magus become the high magician. And we understand Jupiter, the Hebrew letter that symbolizes Jupiter is Kaf, and Kaf is symbolized as a palm. So this goes into palmistry or palm reading, to be the palm reader. Because if you are the palm reader, you can predict your destiny. And that's what fortune is all about, your fortune or your lot or your destiny. So Jupiter, high magic, is essentially getting in alignment with your destiny. So the high magician is in accordance with their destiny. So they understand the potentials that they have access to. So there's one thing, you know, when you're performing low magic and earthly magic. It's another thing when you're performing high magic, or magic that is in tune with your destiny, or to help you get in tune with your destiny, versus monetary gain. But you can see this is more long lasting. So even though it has 3 phases, those phases last an extremely long time. So each phase, you can say, represents 1,000 years. So the law of rhythm doesn't necessarily have to be instant. It can be as you control, if this is the key is you control the speed of the wheel. So essentially your time in paradise, or as the Sphinx up top, can be a very short while or a very long while. So essentially the secret of high magic is to be able to control the wheel of fortune, to move it at whatever pace you choose to move it at, versus it just being on automatic, right? Again, so that's the foundation. So again, give me a second to figure out what's going on with this iPad. Give me 1 second here. See if the phone comes up. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, I see it wants to give me problems. Alright, give me 1 second. Anyway, while I'm figuring this out, I'm gonna keep going. Again, I wanna show you guys some penmanship. But again, while I get this configured, I will keep going here. So once again, this is the purpose of high magic. To manipulate the speed of destiny. So we already know we all have a destiny as is. But we're not really told we can manipulate the speed of this destiny. You know, a lot of people may say, you know, moving at God's speed, so on and so forth. But this destiny, once again, can be manipulated. So a high magician controls his or her destiny. The speed, not necessarily the destiny itself. So we're not choosing our destiny. So I want to be clear here. We're not choosing our destiny, because the destiny has already been chosen. Right? So the destiny was already chosen before we even incarnated. We are more so just making the decision to control the speed in which it manifests. Because if you are in control of the speed at which it manifests, then just like a fly that only lives for about approximately 40 days, to us 40 days is just a month and 10 days. You know, that comes and goes. But to a fly who moves a lot faster than us, that's why it's so hard to actually, you know, you try to swat a fly. You know, it's not necessarily the easiest task to accomplish, because they're moving at a pace that is way faster than us, than we can keep up with. So although we have a better understanding of longevity, if we were moving at the speed of a fly, then 40 days become 40 years in fly time. So this is essentially why time is so fluid and flexible, because it is all based on perspective, and we've already dealt with time. Time breaks down to two, so on and so forth. So we already dealt with why time is subjective. But this is just another example of when we look at the insect life. Insects tend not to live too long, right? However, it is not as short as we believe it to be. Again, 40 days become 40 years in insect time. So I believe it's the same with an ant. Only lives about maybe 45 days or something like that. But to an ant, those 45 days could be 45 years. So from this perspective, you could say from our perspective, our 100-year view of life, it all, like the further you go up the scale, the more time changes. To the same way we just compared an insect to our perspective, an insect's perspective to our perspective, then if we compare human time or material time to dream time, that's another variation. Because dream time is not the same as material time or the time on the clock. It does not move in accordance to the time with the clock. Nonetheless, it is time based. Just a different view of time, because we are in a different perspective. Hence, 8 hours in the dream world can be 8 minutes in the material plane. So, if we truly understand dreams, then we can understand all time. Time from the smallest perspective to the greatest perspective, because we do that every single night we sleep. We manipulate time. Because we manipulate time every time we turn off our consciousness, because time is subconscious. So time is ruled by the subconscious. So when you turn your conscious off, then time is completely alterable. Time is easily alterable when your conscious mind is shut off, but it's very challenging to do when your conscious mind is shut on. So for this reason, this is how we can manipulate dreams in the first place. Why is it even possible to dream in the first place? And to the next level, how to manipulate your dream and turn your dream into an astral projection. Because dreams can become astral projections if you become aware that you're dreaming. So even though dreams and astral projections are separate, two separate experiences, a dream can become an astral projection if you so choose to make it so, which would then further manipulate time, because time in the dream world versus time in the astral world is also two different things. So you see, it becomes level. So as we advance spiritually, what we're supposed to be learning is how time works. That is the ultimate lesson of life, how time works. Because once you crack the code to time, you become timeless, as they call immortal. You become immortal because you understand how time works. You understand the cycles of time. Time happens in cycles. So it is through the cycles in which we reincarnate and we manipulate the forces through the cycles, or waves rather. It's just like an orgasm. not ejaculation, and orgasm. And orgasm comes in waves. It's a wave of energy. It comes and it goes. It's not necessarily continuous. It's like a wave, like, so the Kundalini force and the serpentine forces, it comes in waves. Sometimes it gets super intense, then it calms down, then it gets like, it moves in waves. So when we apply this to time, the wavy motions of time waves then produce time particles. So the goal is to manipulate the time waves, and we are able to manipulate the time waves. That's why we were able to wake up from a dream in the first place. How would we have the ability to wake up from a dream if we were not able to manipulate time? Because you must manipulate time to even become aware that you're dreaming. That's time manipulation, to actually place your awareness in a dream, and now you know you're dreaming, and now you're about to do something else. That's all manipulation of time. The currency that you're manipulating is time, doing all of these things. Because remember, time is the medium. Just like we say ether is the medium. Well, in the material plane, the medium is time. You can't do anything without time. So time becomes the currency when it comes to the material, the dream world, or the astral plane. It is the manipulation of time. So even though we get so caught up in rising the Kundalini and chakras and yoga, energy work, the great work, it's really about time. It all breaks down to time manipulation. And because it breaks down to time manipulation, this takes us into what is called time magic. So instead of calling it dream yoga or dreaming or astral projecting rather, what you're really doing is conducting time magic. Now, will it be called that? No, but that's actually what you're doing. Because again, you cannot do anything outside of time. So to place your awareness into a dream and become aware that you're dreaming, you are in a dream, but you're conscious. And not only are you conscious, now you're changing things and manipulating things. None of this is happening without time magic. So we understand time, breaks down to two. But what does magic break down to? And magic, not with a C, but magic with a K. So I'll do it right now. So we type in magic with a K. That takes us to the number 8, which we know to be the energy of Saturn. So time magic is essentially 28. The combination of the moon and Saturn. We already know Saturn is a time keeper. And it's no surprise that the moon is too. So both the moon and Saturn are time keepers. The moon just moves a lot faster. Very faster. So essentially the masculine part is Saturn and the feminine part is the moon, right? Because of this, this 28 equation that we have produced here, and we see how this applies to everything, whether you're on the material plane, the astral plane, or the dream plane, anything spiritual or material, the common denominator between the two is time. And because time is the common denominator between the two, or 28 rather, because 28, if we go beyond astrology, or not beyond astrology, deeper into astrology. Because that's just the surface. That's just scratching the surface. If we take it to the tarot, that becomes the High Priestess and the Universe card. And if we look at both of those cards, we see time is being manipulated. So let me actually show you guys what I mean, how time is being manipulated. Alright, 1 second. I have no idea what the Universe card is. I'm just passing it. Give me 1 second. Here it is. Pass the card literally 3 times. Didn't see it. So if we look, both of these women here, the divine feminine, are manipulating time. The time manipulators. They're just doing it in a different way. You see, both of their arms are extended upward. They both have a instrument or a tool. The Universe, she is working with the snake, versus the High Priestess. You see, her instrument is the instrument slash weapon. So essentially, she's producing melodies, and the Universe is producing shapes and figures of the universe. You could say planets and stars and all of the things that exist in the universe. So essentially, you see the High Priestess is manifesting the goods of the material plane. So you see fruits, you see diamonds, you see high quality materials of the earth, grapes and such, so on and so forth. So her melodies are producing material goods or material fruits. And if we take a time adds up to the number 1. How did you come to that conclusion? How did you come to that conclusion? So we don't see material goods manifested from the universe. Instead, what we see is she is manipulating, once again, the universal forces producing stars. That's why we see the stars. We see stars being produced versus the material goods. And once again, the common denominator is time. So in one aspect, time is nice. See, look, I don't want to confuse anybody here. So we'll just do it right in front of your face. Again, I don't know what's going on with the iPad, but we'll just do it right now. T-I-M-E. T is the 20th letter. I is the 9th letter. M is the 13th letter. And E is the 5th letter. So if M is the 13th letter and E is the 5th letter, you got 4 plus 5, that gives you 9. Then you got I, so that's 9 plus 9. Then you got T, 9 plus 9 plus 20, and you reduce the 20 to 2. 9 plus 9 equals 2. So 9 plus 9 plus 2 gives you 20 again. You reduce that 20 to a single digit, you get the number 2. So if you break down time, you're going to get the number 2. I don't know where you're getting 1 or 9. Right, I literally have this right here. I don't know what you're talking about. So again, just correct your mathematics. Again, it's already showing improved. So again, if you just may be doing the calculation wrong, but we don't want to confuse anybody. If you break down time, you're going to get the number 2. Anybody get anything different, your mathematics is off. If that is not your final conclusion, your mathematics is off. It's just that simple. But if your mathematics is correct, then you will be able to see where I'm going at here. So I just showed you the high priestess and I just showed you the universe. The high priestess is manifesting the material goods of the planet, and the universe is manifesting the stars of the universe. The combination of the moon and Saturn. Saturn as the master architect and the moon as the timekeeper. So we can even change the titles. So the moon can remain a timekeeper because we understand a lot of people honor the moon. See, there's not too many people who follow Saturn, the planet Saturn, to tell time. It was at one point that they did. In the history of the planet, they did follow Saturn. Again, which had a great influence on the religion of Islam. But in the current time, that's not necessarily what we do. We follow still the moon. So Saturn becomes the master architect or the master builder. The master architect or the master builder of what? Time. Because time must be built. You must build time. Time is not just there. See, this is the biggest secret. This is one of the biggest secrets, if not the biggest secret of all. That, again, is this 24-hour clock. But we all have the same 24 hours. We don't all have the same 24 hours. That is not a true statement. Especially if you're following along with what I'm saying here. If you truly understand what I'm saying here, then you have to arrive at a different conclusion. Okay, we all don't have the same 24 hours. Because if you are able to manipulate time, you have a lot more hours. If you're able to extend your dreams every night and give yourself an extra 8 hours per day, that's very significant. Imagine what you can do with an extra 8 hours that you dedicate to your own self-exploration and dream world, because you're awake and you're able to do so. This is what's already happening. People have been learning from their dreams since the beginning of time. Hence time. Here's that time coming up once again. So because of this, time is not even. This is why they say life is not fair. We've all heard this phrase before, right? Life isn't fair. Well, life isn't fair for this reason. It's because time isn't fair. See that? So fuck life being fair. The true statement is time is unfair, because that would be more truer to the workings of the universe. What makes time unfair is, again, we all do not have the same 24 hours. It only appears that way on the surface. And that's Maya, that's an illusion, that's not real. So we're being tricked to believe that we all have the same 24 hours when that is indeed untrue. It is all based on illusion if we know time is internal, time is subjective. So if time is subjective, then we don't all have access to the same 24 hours. Because it is subjective. Again, if somebody is extending their day, giving themselves an extra 8 hours because they know how to manipulate their dreams, again, we can see how valuable that could be to anybody's life who can appreciate dream time. So if you appreciate dream time and you enhance your dream time to the point where it becomes a form of currency, then there is essentially no limit to what can be done. And again, I'm just saying 8 hours. You can say there's some people with an additional 24 or 4 additional 24 hours. Just imagine that 2 days are actually 1. For every 1 day you have, they're having 2 days. They have a whole 2 days. They have 40. For every one of your 24 hours, they have a 48 hour. So we can see just the bigger and bigger you go up, that time is not fair because it is a form of currency. So time is based on how much currency you have to exchange. What do I mean? So if time is subjective, time is also not fair to everyone equally because it requires currency. That's why everyone can't dream. You need currency to even dream. This is why a lot of people don't dream. See, we can get the money on a physical plane, but we having so much trouble getting the money in the astral so that we can actually dream and we can actually astral travel and do all these amazing things that we know we can do. Why are we having so much trouble in that arena? But absolutely no trouble, getting to the bag or acquiring physical goods and resources. That's not a hard thing to accomplish. Finally reading cyclomancy and doing exercises. Definitely, shout out to you, Aussie shooter, because that's exactly what you should be doing. See, the fact that you even mentioned that, you understand what I'm saying, right? So, I'm just painting this picture so that we can begin to understand what's really going on here. So that you are not fooled by these sayings. It's not that life isn't fair. Fuck life. Life is just energy. So you're saying energy isn't fair. That doesn't make any sense. But if we're talking about time, that makes perfect sense. Though, let me start talking about reversing time. So we're just talking about adding time. I ain't even gotten to reversing time. That's a whole nother conversation. What's up, Luciferian Jesus lover? What's up? We ain't even got to get into that. But again, those who have the ears to hear will take heed, because they understand the truth within the matter. It's just a matter of how to obtain time currency or time particles. Let's analyze it here. Why is it that we were able to dream in abundance as children, but as adults, it begins to decline more and more and more and more and more until essentially we barely dream at all? Because this is also how children grow up fast. So this is what people don't consider. That is so intricate to a child's development, their ability to dream and utilize their imagination. That is pivotal to their growth and development. But they're doing it naturally, so of course they're not doing it consciously, but this is a natural process. Right? So this is how, as children, we were able to grow up so fast. A major part of that is time manipulation and our ability to dream and manipulate our dreams. This is when we wonder, well, how do kids know what they know? It ain't that they were taught everything in school. Again, if we consider that you can learn in your dreams, then that makes perfect sense. Right, so oh man, talking about dreams got me yawning. But anyway, do you believe that non-dreaming can be a form of calcification of the pineal gland? Of course. And it's very simple to answer that. Because when we dream, we secrete DMT. So if your pineal gland is calcified, that means it is unable to secrete DMT. And if it is unable to secrete DMT, then it's going to be very challenging to dream. That one element alone. So we ain't gotta talk about no other chemical. If you don't have DMT, you're not dreaming. It's DMT that takes us to the spirit plane. That's why they call DMT the spirit particle or the spirit molecule. Because it is through DMT that we transcend. So a lack of DMT equals a lack of transcendence. So in the case of if the pineal is calcified, this is once again why you see the Egyptian gods and goddesses or the Kemetic gods and goddesses with the serpent coming out of the pineal gland. It's not an actual serpent. It just represents activating your pineal. It represents DMT. The serpent is just a symbol of DMT. Birth, dream, and death. DMT. The spirit particle. So essentially, we're taking a step further. So to manipulate time currency, the currency you need to manipulate time is DMT, as that takes you to the spirit world. Yes, the Shepharim. Exactly. See, look at that Hebrew coming through. You see, we can't even deal in English. You got to take it directly to the Hebrew. So fasting and urine therapy is the best ways to decalcify, I think you were saying. Well, yeah, of course. But I already know most people ain't doing that. That's not necessarily an easy thing to do. So yeah, I'm definitely not expecting people to do that. It's not the easy thing to do. I know I said it, but I know it's not the easy. I don't expect anybody to start drinking their own urine. You know, and you know, it take time to get there. So I understand why most people are not drawn to that method. That's why I don't really speak on it too much. It's not that it's not effective. It's just that you can't just jump into that. Because, you know, you would want to, you know, cleanse yourself. You know, it's a lot of preparation before you're actually able to engage in urine therapy successfully. To the point where it becomes your lifestyle. Let me give you an example of what I mean. As a practitioner, of course. So for example, you're going to taste everything that you eat. If you engage in urine therapy, especially urine looping, where you drink everything that comes out and you just looping. So that means you're going to taste everything you eat. So if you eat anything heavy in chemicals, no. You eat anything heavy in chemicals, again, I perfectly understand why that is not something that you want to engage in. Because everything you eat, you're going to taste. But it helps you if you understand what it means. Like, all right, I don't want to eat this no more because it alters the taste of my urine to the point where I don't even want to drink it. So anything that alters the taste of your urine that much, you know that, okay, I need to take this out of my diet. I don't need anything in my diet that's going to alter the taste of my urine. Is it easy to do? No, I'm not saying that any of this is easy to do, but this is the process of why you do it. So, and essentially it takes time to eliminate the things that you know pollutes your urine. So again, it's not something that people immediately jump on. But yes, so you have to alleviate, you have to take things out your diet that alters your urine. Anything that alters the taste, you got to remove from your diet. And again, are most people willing to change their diet just to drink their own urine? Probably not. So that, you know, that just, you know, they just toss that to the curb. Cause you see, it's a process. So you got to fast. You got to abstain from food. Change your diet, then drink your own urine. So that's why most people are not drawn to it. It's the process, and you actually have to change. You don't get to just drink your piss and just live the same lifestyle you were living. That's not how it works. That's why most people are not interested. You have to actually change. So if you are afraid to drink your own urine, you should be questioning your diet. Because if you don't question what you eat, then your urine should be just fine. The only thing that's making your urine disgusting is your own diet. It's what we put in our bodies. If our urine is disgusting, it's because we did it. Ain't nobody else do it. But again, if you're not drinking your urine, you don't really know what any of these things are doing to the body because you don't have a feedback system. Your urine is your feedback. You can always taste your urine to know what's going on with your blood plasma. What's going on in your body. You always have your urine to determine what's going on. So again, any pollution, you know that, okay, I need to either drink more water. So you just have some evidence right in front of your face as to what to do and what not to do, and how to alter something quickly and get back on track. So it's a lifestyle. So I know I say it like a technique, but it really ain't a technique because you're going to end up doing all these things if you're serious about it, and it just becomes your lifestyle. Would it help if I just done a water or dry fast? It's easier to dry fast Because, you know, like, if you're constantly just drinking water all day, you're going to eventually want to eat something. It's going to keep your hunger up. But when you give your body a break from everything, to the point where you're not putting anything in your system, then it's a lot easier to fast when there's nothing in your system versus when you're just constantly putting water in your system. However, there's nothing wrong with a water fast. It's a little harder, but of course, you know, there's nothing wrong with practicing a water fast. That's not going to benefit you negatively at all. So again, like, it depends on everybody personally, you know. It all depends on your diet. If your diet is already pretty clean, you know, this shouldn't really be too big of a deal for you. But if you got to clean up your diet because you know your diet ain't clean to the point where you're not even thinking about urine therapy, then again, it's do you want to change or not? And that's really what it boils down to. And that's again another reason why I stopped eating meat. I had to cut the meat out. I'm like, I don't even, because it's not, the urine doesn't taste good. It just doesn't. When I eat meat, it may be different for other people, but I don't like the taste of meat in my urine. So if I don't want that taste, I have to cut out the meat. There's no longer can I think about how good it tastes, or what it's doing or what it's not doing. I'm thinking about, do I really want to taste that at the end of the day? And if the answer is no, then I'm gonna just fall back on that. So again, the urine therapy is a natural feedback system for those who allow it to be. You can actually heal your body just going through the process itself. And yes, urine therapy is also good for the skin, and that's why you age your urine. Aged urine is better for the skin. Then fresh urine is better for drinking and ingesting. So if you're going to use urine on your skin, then be sure to age it a little bit. Well, a lot of it. A little bit and a lot of it. Because the more it ages, the more potent it becomes. So I mean, I have some aged urine right now. Of course, I'm not going to show you guys it, but yeah, I'm not opposed to, you know, putting some aged urine on my skin. I got it. You know what I mean? Why not? Cause I definitely put urine. If I ever have a cut or an open wound, I'm definitely pee right on the wound. And you know, it's the healing comes without a problem. So yeah, it reverses aging essentially. If you actually do practice it, you can reverse your age. It's very possible. But again, it's a lifestyle change. And any lifestyle you change will be beneficial. So any lifestyle you change, so even if it's not urine therapy, any lifestyle change you make will be beneficial. What makes urine so powerful is because it's blood plasma. Urine is blood plasma. So it's essentially the equivalent to drinking fresh blood. But the plasma of the blood, not the blood itself, the plasma of the blood. So essentially, if your blood plasma is pure, you're drinking pure blood plasma. I don't think that helps anybody to drink urine therapy, but that's essentially what's going on. And also, the water is sterile. Anytime you urinate, the body has sterilized the water. So essentially, you are urinating alkaline water every time you urinate, irregardless of how, you know, clean or dirty your urine is. The kidneys process the water. So even if you're drinking spring water, you're going to urinate out alkaline water. The water if you drink a big ass jug of spring water, the water you urinate out will be purer than the water you put in. So it actually will benefit you more to drink the water that's coming out than continuing to drink the water that is from the spring. Because now you're drinking the equivalent to alkaline water. But again, I know this is tough to hear, but it's just a reality. Yeah, bro, been vegan 3 years, then added chemicals and come back, added the chemicals in the tobacco. Yeah, I understand. Like, I fully understand. You see me on here smoking herb, so who the fuck am I to judge anybody? I completely understand. So you see me on here grabbing a fucking, I'll take a drink right now. I completely understand. Again, I understand the season we in. So that's why everyone has to do the best they can. Whatever that is. As long as you're doing the best you can, it ain't for you to accomplish all things at once. You know, take your time. Especially since time is on your side. Or it should be on your side, right? Time should be on your side. So yeah, this is essentially the grandest secret of all, if you was able to grasp it. See, it's just words until you grasp it. It's just words to you until it's grasped. I'm like, oh, okay. If you truly understand what was said, one day becomes 2 days. 365 days become, let's just do it, 365 times 2. 730 days. That would be too much time for the average person. That's why the average person isn't manipulating time. The average person will have no fucking clue as to what to do with 730 days per year. They barely know what to do with 365. So essentially, the equation that's produced is what to do with all this extra time. What are you going to do with all this extra time? You have manifested all this time. What are you going to do with it? Right? Again, if we apply it to the dream world, if we apply it to the astral plane, if we apply it to ascension, there's plenty to do. Even the inferno, whether you're going into the heavens or to the hells, there's plenty to do. So I most prefer mortality to immortality. They will get bored. Because if you don't have an appreciation for spiritual concepts, all you care about is the material plane. Or they just continue to ignore what is inevitable. And that's essentially what it comes down to. As I was speaking about earlier or in the last video, I don't remember which one. The only way for you to not acknowledge astrology or mathematics, occult mathematics, is if you purposefully ignore it. You have to ignore it on purpose. Because eventually, if you start paying attention, you're going to see the patterns manifest. And when you start to see those patterns manifest, you're going to be at a place where it is undeniable. You cannot deny the numbers. We always say numbers don't lie. So if the numbers don't lie, and every number is a planet, and the planets don't lie, then where's all the disbelief coming from? Why do we not trust our own stars and our own mathematics that we created? We created the science, and we don't even trust the science that we created. You know, it just is what it is, right? You will have an easier time, you know, breaking down the occult to somebody in a whole different culture than somebody, you know, from a similar culture than you. In other words, it's like, unless you have a love for the occult, it's just not Meaning you can't give somebody, or let me say it this way, you can't make somebody have appreciation for the unknown, the mysteries of the universe. Because in their mind, they got 1,000,001 other things to get to before they even concern themselves with anything of that nature. They got too much life to live in order to contemplate these things. They got to live 1,000 more lives before they start contemplating hidden truths. So, and I appreciate everybody sharing their urine therapy experience, because from what I'm reading, it was successful. So don't take it from me, take it from others. Right? If you actually do try, you're gonna benefit from it. There's no way not to benefit from it. So even if you're a person that doesn't want to drink it, you can be the person that tries it on your skin. So if you're uncomfortable with drinking your own urine, then use it externally on your skin. See what it does for your skin. See what it does for your hair. See what it does, for anything external. See what it does for your cuts and your wounds and any open scabs and any joint pain and anything, any paralysis, anything, any bodily problems you may have. See what it does for you. And if it gives you some type of relief and it came out of your own body, then again, the mathematics will prove itself. The mathematics will prove itself. You just have to submit to it. So that's the thing. People don't want to submit to the mathematics. But once you submit to the mathematics is going to show and prove itself. Not everyone is supposed to know the secrets. It's just the secrets. You can tell the secrets right in front of people's face. I reveal secrets every goddamn live stream. Every time I come on this bitch, secrets is being let out. So it ain't about, whether people should or shouldn't know. They know. You can find the secrets. People can read whatever book I read. You know what I mean? There's nothing concealed. Whatever I have access to, anybody can have access to. I don't have access to other than my personal experiences with spirits. I have access to the same books everybody else has access to. I have the same YouTube videos everybody else have access to. It's just more of, it's not gonna click if you ain't ready for it to click. And it ain't about what, knowing the secrets. You can tell somebody the secret right in front of their face and they don't grasp it. I've seen it countless times. Exactly. You can take the horse to the water, but you can't make the horse drink. You can't make a person grasp the truth, even if you tell them right to their face. That's essentially, that is the essence of the occult. The essence of the occult is you can tell the person the secret right in their face and it completely goes over their head. That's how you know it's occult. It ain't whether they know it or not. Because they damn sure may know it, but they don't grasp it. And you told them straight to their face. Many are called, but few are chosen. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Because there's a difference between being called and being chosen. Anybody can say, I'm called to do this, I'm called to do that. Anybody can say that, I'm called to lead this particular type of lifestyle. Anybody can be called to do any goddamn thing. But when you're chosen, then that means this don't really have nothing to do with you. You were chosen to do it. You ain't decided to do it yourself. It wasn't your decision. Because that's how I feel about me. And when I say about me, I had no intention of becoming Aman Ashranu on YouTube revealing secrets. This was not in the grand scheme of things for me. This wasn't my intent whatsoever. At all. I had to be chosen to do, like, sit your ass down and reveal the secrets. Like you got something better to do. So I had to take heed to the call. So yeah, as you just said, many are called, but it's not until you take heed to the call that you become chosen. You have to take heed to the call, and from there you become chosen. It's because you are performing your divine duty at that point. Because you chose, so you made a decision to leave everything else behind. Because you've been there and done that. There was nothing else for you to do other than to perform your duty. And everything else comes from that. Right? So this, again, yes, many are called, but you have to fulfill the call. Because it's a responsibility that you then have to bear. So yes, you hear the call, but the call comes with responsibilities. Now you are responsible, or you have to be responsible. If you're not responsible, now you have to be responsible. You're dealing with people's lives now. And if you don't take that seriously, you're gonna suffer severely. You have the ability to alter people's lives, so you have a responsibility to tell them the truth. And if you don't, then you have to deal with the consequences, not really them. Because the greatest sin you can commit is stopping someone from exercising their divine will, to stand in anyone's way because you're trying to mislead or trying to get them to do something else that they don't have no intention of doing in the first place. It's whether they have understanding. Well, you have to take heed to the call to gain understanding. You're not going to automatically have it. You're not going to hear the call and understand why the call is there until you sit your ass down and listen. Okay, what's going on here? And then accept the responsibility that comes with it. Then you get the understanding. After you accept the responsibility, after you begin to perform your divine justice. I feel when I don't listen to the call and I go off track, I get punished. Because we supposed to be above that. The same thing happened to me. Same thing happened. Let me stop working with the spirit and stop laying down the game. My life is not going to be pretty whatsoever. Why? I didn't already seen it. It didn't already manifested itself in terms of whenever I try to slow things down or try to manipulate and change and all that. No. Yeah, I don't have the opportunity to listen to fuck up like other people can. I can't fuck up because I get severely punished. And hence, that's why I had to undergo severe punishment. Right? It's another reason why I took those videos out of public, because I'm not necessarily trying to promote this severe punishment. Like, everybody doesn't have to go through what I go through, so I'm like, this ain't necessarily for everybody. That's why I removed it from the public. This is not what everybody has to go through. Just because I had to go through it, it's not what everybody has to go through. This is just if you accept the responsibility. Then my path will make more sense. But if you haven't accepted the responsibility, then it's like, well, what are you doing that for when you could be doing something else? Again, it's not going to make any sense. But yes, what happens at death is a real secret to me. It's more of, what do you think is going to happen? It's not even like the same thing happens to everybody. It does it. Even in the Quran. If you read the Quran, it tells you exactly what happened. Those who are righteous, when it's time for them to go, they will welcome death, and death will gently take their soul out their body. Your soul would gently leave your body if you're righteous, meaning if you took the responsibility, to be a bigger person and to lay down the game in whichever form or fashion you need to lay it down in. However, those who resist death, your soul is going to get snatched the fuck out your body, according to the Quran. So it all depends on what you choose to endure. Do you want your death to be pleasant or painful? We have every opportunity to make that decision. We are in control of death. We are in absolute control of what happens at death. It can be gentle or pleasant. It all depends on, did you take heed to the call and take on the burden, and then master that burden. So what happens at death is dependent on if you took heed to the call or not. Did you exercise your true will or your free will? According to the Quran, and I just quote the Quran because I know a lot of people don't. You know, we Bibled out. Everybody know the goddamn Bible. I'm like, let me introduce you to some foreign concepts. Because I just had this stuff in my head because that's just my history. You know what I mean? I have all this Islamic history just sitting there. Even though, again, I'm not tapping into it all the time, but it's there nonetheless. Same thing, like if you've been hearing the Bible stories your whole life, those stories are still there. They ain't going nowhere. They essentially became a part of you. So where was I going with it? I was going to take this to a different level. Just from the sense of, because we were talking about time magic and how time is not fair. Time is connected to DMT. DMT is connected to the pineal gland. Pineal gland is connected to dreams and astral travels. Astral travels, dreams connected to your ability to outlive your body. We have the ability to outlive our body. Again, this is what ascension is. This is what the yogis do, so on and so forth. So none of this is by accident. They didn't just figure this stuff out. It's a clear pathway. You know, once you dedicate yourself to this, you already know what it is. You know what I mean? You're not looking back. Oh, yeah. Something about the Quran. Yep. There you go. I appreciate that. That's exactly what I was about to say. I was about to speak about being tormented in the grave. So according to the Quran, you're going to be asked 3 questions. When they put your ass in the ground, 2 angels are going to come and they're going to ask you some questions. They're going to ask you 3 questions to be exact. So let me get the actual quotes here. Alright, so I want to quote directly from, see, I literally have the Quran here. So let me actually, let's see. So I'm going to go to the direct quote here. Well, we don't necessarily got to quote directly, but get the gist. So I'm going to type in, what happens at death? Quran. Okay. Because again, I know most people are not familiar with this. That's why I even care to bring this up. Because I guarantee you're going to be surprised at what you hear. So again, I don't necessarily need to read all this. I just want to see, do they mention the 2 angels coming to chastise your ass? So basically 2 angels come and chastise you with 3 questions. Who is your God? You know, I can just remember the questions off the top. One of them is, who is your God? Who is the messenger of your God? And there's another question. There's one more question. The grave pressure. See, here we go. See, again, the Quran is goddamn. Let's just take a gander. Take a gander at this. Take a gander. It's called the grave pressure, and I'm going to get back to the 2 angels and the 3 questions. But this is called the grave pressure. What does it say? It says, after we are dead and buried in the grave, our grave phase starts. The grave is either a garden from heaven's garden or a corner of hell. When a dead person is buried, he or she will not feel suffocated, but he or she will experience a sort of pressure that is indescribable for people in this world, as if he is being squeezed to pass through a needle hole. This pressure would work as a purifier for believers, but unbelievers, it has nothing but pain and sorrow. Now I guarantee you ain't never heard no shit like that, but this is just common Islamic knowledge. You will feel like you're being squeezed past a fucking needle hole. Let's continue. This okay. So let's continue. This pressure does not belong to those people who are buried, but every dead person will have this experience, even if they are dead, hung, or burnt into ashes. So there's no escape. No matter if they burn your body, hang your body, do whatever the fuck they want to do with your body, you can't escape it. Okay? The pressure belongs to the soul, and every soul will go through the experiences of the afterlife. But does everyone experience the grave pressure? It is said that only a very few people will be saved from going through this pressure. What does it say? Some of the reasons that will increase the grave pressure are backbiting, gossiping, disrespecting parents, usury, immorality, unpleasant manner towards family and friends, devastating the rights of other humans, and of course, based on your overall, vibe as a person. So now we're going to even deeper tales. Now we're going to talk about the first night. So they got it divided into nights. This is just how deep Islam goes. They're going to tell you the nights. This is what's going to happen in the first night. They get it all documented. Let's see what it says. When the dead person is buried, his or her soul will leave the body, but will stay close to it, so he or she can see the buriers. Damn, this is hard to even read this. Not because of the words, it's just what's being said here. Anyway, he or she can see the burial ceremony and what is going on around. When his or her relatives leave the grave, he or she finds herself alone in the dark in a small grave. Here, people are divided into three groups: perfect believers, complete atheists, and the middle ones. The first group will start their heavenly life right away. The second group will start their eternal life in hell. In the middle, that includes a majority of people, will remain in hope and fear until the resurrection day, when their situation will be determined. So essentially, according to the Quran, the Quran is all about the day of resurrection called the Qiyamah. So the Qiyamah is the day of resurrection. So essentially, your judgment comes on the day of resurrection. So prior to that, again, unless you're a perfect believer, that's the only way you got direct access up out of here, according to the Islamic perspective. Here we go. This is what I was talking about. So here's the name of the angels. So you're going to get questioned by those two angels. I mentioned those two angels. Those two angels are called Nakir and Munkar. So the two angels are called Nakir and Munkar. What does it say? The first and the second group will experience the grave questioning by two angels, Nakir and Munkar, so that they quickly start their eternal life in heaven or hell. But the third group will not be questioned into the day of judgment. So basically, according to the Quran, most people are not going to be judged to the day of judgment until the day of judgment. So unless you're just wholly evil or wholly good, so your straight shot to heaven is you got to be a perfect believer. But if you're a complete atheist, then you get sent to hell right away. Like it ain't no waiting for judgment day. It was funny. Oh man, just ruthless. Like we ain't even gonna wait for you. Send them right now. They just got to waiting on your ass. So that means there's some people in hell right now. According to the Quran, that means there's some people already in heaven and hell. That everybody does not have to wait to the judgment day. And this is why I say we have control over our destiny. Right? This is just a different perspective, but this is getting at what I'm saying, where you can be one of the three. You can be the person that goes directly into heaven, directly into the hell, or be questioned on the day of judgment. That is within our control. That's not something that somebody else determines for us. We determine that path ourselves. All right. Let me see. I just want to read the most relevant points here. Based on the facts, now they're talking about limbo. So, we've all heard about limbo, right? One of the levels of hell, right? I believe that's the first level of hell or the second level. That's one of the levels to hell. It's called limbo. So in Arabic, they call it barzakh. So limbo is called barzakh. Oh, fuck. Oh, that makes me tingle. Oh, man. Oh, fuck. That just sense. Look, I'm just sensitive. Man. So what I mean is that Arabic just, it's a whole, see, I can say limbo all day. No problems. But as soon as I say the Arabic version, all of a sudden I'm feeling all type of tingles and shit. Anyway. It is narrated. Okay. Limbo or barzakh means human grave from the time he or she dies to the time he or she is resurrected. Based on the fact that the limbo or barzakh is a place between this life and the other life, and that all human beings, even those who are burnt to ashes or those who are hunted and eaten by animals, will experience the limbo or the barzakh. So essentially what they're saying is when we all die, we go into limbo, then await the day of resurrection, unless you go straight to heaven or hell. So if you don't go straight to heaven or hell, you're going into limbo, which is, again, as we call purgatory, until further notice. Let's see. We can conclude that the life in the grave mentioned as limbo life is not limited to the grave. So what and how is limbo or barzakh life? Right after death, the human soul directly enters a new life in which he or she can feel everything. They can have pleasure and sorrow, which is based on their actions and behaviors in their worldly life. Therefore, human experiences two lives after death. One is a limbo or barzakh life that will end like our earthly life. and before them is a barrier until the day they will be resurrected. And the other is the eternal life that starts on the day of resurrection, and people may go to the eternal hell or the eternal heaven based on their worldly actions. Now we go to the day of resurrection. So the Quran chapter 22 verse 7, or Surah 7, or Surah 22 ayat 7. So in the Quran, it's not verses, they're called surahs. And they're not called verses, they're called ayats. So Surah 22 ayat 7, it says, because the hour is bound to come, there is no doubt in it, and Allah will resurrect those who are in the graves. The day of resurrection does not only belong to human beings, all creatures will be resurrected on that day. On the day of resurrection, people will be queued to be questioned about their actions and to be sent to their eternal place. This day is not like our worldly days that are 24 hours. But as stated in the Quran, he directs the command from the heaven to the earth. Then it ascends towards him in a day whose span is about 1,000 years by your reckoning. In another verse, it is stated that the angels and the spirits ascend to him in a day whose span is 50,000 years. Why is that one verse? Allah says that the day of judgment is equal to 1,000 years. In another verse, it is equal to 50,000 years. The Imam answered, on the day of resurrection, there are 50 stops, each of them equal to 1,000 years of this world. Now tell me where else you're gonna get that. So after the day, not after you die, but the day of resurrection, you gotta go through 50 stops, which equal to 1,000 years. So we were just talking about time magic. So now the Quran is breaking down, okay, this time is different than the time of your world. Your little 24 hours ain't nothing. We're talking about 50,000 years. So we can see our whole concept of time. So I'm glad I'm reading this now. So this is going way beyond than I even was thinking about. Wasn't planning on even reading all this stuff. I just wanted to get the name of the two angels. But we didn't run through this whole thing. Let us continue. Because again, I just want to, let me get to those 3 questions you're going to be asked. Let's see. I'm just going to, three grave questions. 3 questions in the grave. There you go. So the 3 questions asked by the 2 angels, Nakir and Munkar. The 3 questions they ask is, who is your Lord? What is your religion? And who is your prophet? Again, according to the Quran. So the 3 questions: who is your Lord? What is your religion? Who is your prophet? And depending on how those questions are answered will determine whether you go to heaven or hell. Again, this is the Islamic perspective. But let me go into the actual verses of the Quran. Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. See, now we get a little deeper. See, I got to go to different sources and all that. See, every source ain't gonna have all the information. See, now we got additional information. The 2 angels who are charged with questioning come to him or her and ask them what they used to believe in this world, who was their Lord, what was their religion, and who was their prophet. If they give a good answer, that is good. But if they do not answer, then they inflict a severe and painful beating on him. So if you think you just tough and you just ain't gonna answer, they gonna beat your fucking ass. Oh man, they gonna torment your ass. If he or she was one of the righteous, angels will come with white faces to him or her. But if they are evildoers, angels with dark faces come to them. And this is the fitna or tribulation that he suffers. So just remember, either you're gonna see some white faces or some black faces. Ew, that's funny. Let's see. What else we got here? It all clicks and connects, everything being discussed, and that's why I'm trying to bring together the best I can, just trying to bring these concepts together. So essentially, this is essentially the Islamic perspective. Again, I wasn't planning on going that deep into it, but again, that's the Islamic perspective. See, again, I didn't even know all that detail. See, I even learned something. I didn't know about those 50,000 years and those 50 gates, after the day of resurrection. So, as we see, the work don't stop after this life. Your ass is gonna be in limbo, like my ass is gonna be in limbo, if we don't go directly to heaven or hell immediately. And then we're gonna be judged again with whether we're gonna see some white flakes, we're gonna be, our body gonna be squeezed through a needle. It's just, again, you just the detail orientation of that. So that's the difference between the Quran and the Bible, the detail orientation about these supernatural events. Yeah, you ain't gonna find it nowhere else. So we see, once again, even after death, time changes. That's why they say sleep is a cousin of death. So the same way in death as we have just witnessed the change in time, the same thing occurs when we sleep, or when we think we sleep. We are able to manipulate the time matter. And through the manipulation of the time matter, we are able to influence time. And when we influence time, we manipulate the universe in our favor, because we're putting in that work. They be getting real crazy with that Arabic. Like I probably shouldn't even be saying a law like by itself. Because if you deal with Muslims, then they address Allah as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? What's it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the whole title. Anyway. So yeah. Hopefully those answer those death questions as to what's going on. So there are some options. So you see, there is no overall one size fits all. So you see, majority of the world, basically the 85% of the world, this goes right back to the 5% teachings. The 5%ers, 85% of this world is going to have to wait till Judgment Day. 10% of this world going straight to hell, and 5% going straight to heaven. It all depends on what percentage you want to be a part of. You want to be a part of the 5, the 10, or the 85. Yeah, I see you, Khalifa. I see you. So again, so the fact that we see the variations here, the fact that we see that depending on what decision we make, 5%er, 10%er, or 85%er, right? So essentially what I'm reading now is we ain't even trying to make it to the day of judgment. This actually changed my whole perspective. I ain't trying to fucking beat her. I'm just gonna make that. I ain't trying to beat her. With the majority of the world, with their in-between ass, don't know what to do with it. So I'm like, nah, either I'm going straight to hell or heaven. I see what's going on there. And we need to sort you out with the rest of the people. And nah, my acts are gonna be clear. Like it's either hellish or heavenly. It's only for Allah to judge, though, right? Again, some people can say it's hellish because I'm talking about Lucifer and Luciferianism and all this. Some people say it's heavenly at all. It's all about in the eyes of Allah. We blasting off, putting in that work, yeah. 2 hours in. But again, just want to give people a little break. Just want to give people a little break. So again, this is what makes all of these attributes relevant. Because I'm sure you all feel the same way. Are you trying to get mixed up with that 85% on the day of judgment? That absolute fucking mess on the day of judgment with all the rest of these fucks. The people that we don't even fuck with now anyway. Like, you trying to be caught up with that bullshit? I know I'm not. Send me to hell or heaven instantly. Instantly. But you got to put in some work to do that. So even you still got to put in work to get to hell. So that's crazy, right? So like shit, if you want to go directly to hell, you guys got to put in the work to do so. Like, damn, you don't get the way. You going directly to hell, or you going directly to heaven. So you just ask yourself, are you trying to get caught up in the mess? Because who knows when the day of resurrection? Again, only Allah knows. That's what they say. Only Allah knows when the day of resurrection occurs. Right? Only Allah knows. And are you trying to go through 50 gates that takes a total of 50,000 years to complete? Is that the type of suffrage you want to endure in Sheol or Purgatory or Limbo or Barzakh? I gotta go, yeah, everybody's running out. You already know. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. It's all good, it's all good. So yeah, this is, again, I'm just here to spread light. So again, I know everybody feels either you trying to get direct access. You're trying to get direct access to the divine or the devilish. It all depends on what you want to do. So again, it's very interesting in the sense of, see, again, I haven't read this stuff in a very long time, so the fact I'm like, oh man, you can actually just slip up in heaven, or you can slide your ass in hell instantly after death. So this goes back to the original point of many are called, few are chosen. It's the ones who choose to bear the responsibility. If you do so, then there's no reason why you shouldn't have direct access to heaven, right? There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get up in there instantaneously. But again, most people are fearful about their destination because they're unsure. Because it's a perfect believer. You got to be a perfect believer. What does it mean to be perfect? Perfect just means striving towards. It doesn't necessarily mean in a state of perfection, necessarily. So yes, we see that. Again, that got a little bit heavier than I thought. I wasn't expecting to get that goddamn heavy. I was just trying to find those questions. But nonetheless, again, it's had me contemplating on my own. I'm like, God, I'm still rolling off that a little bit. Again, I wasn't expecting all that. Let me actually read about the Jinn. Let me read the chapter, the second chapter of the Quran called the Al-Jinn. I'm about to read the Al-Jinn. We all have heard about them, or hopefully you have. But this should clear up any misconceptions about the Jinn. And how they are different than demons. So we're gonna go straight to the Quran, Surah 72, called the Jinn. All right. So what does it say? In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Say, O Muhammad, it has been revealed to me that a group from 3 to 10 in number of Jinn listened to this Quran. They said, verily, we have heard a wonderful recital, this Quran. It guides to the right path, and we have believed therein. And we shall never join in worship anything with our Lord Allah. And exalted be the majesty of our Lord. He has taken neither a wife nor a son or a offspring or children. And that the foolish amongst us, i.e. Iblis, aka Satan, or the polytheists among the Jinn, used to utter against Allah that which was wrong and not right. And verily we thought that men and Jinn would not utter a lie against Allah. And verily there were men amongst mankind who took shelter with the masculine among the Jinn, but they Jinn increased them, mankind, in sin and disbelief. And they thought, as you thought, that Allah will not send any messenger to mankind or Jinn. And we have sought to reach the heaven, but found it filled with stern guards and flaming fires. And verily, we used to sit there in stations to steal a hearing. But any who listens now will find a flaming fire watching him in ambush. And we know not whether evil is intended for those on earth, or whether their Lord intends for them a right path. There are among us some that are righteous, and some the contrary. We are groups, each having a different way, religious sects, etc. So there it is right there. So all Jinn are not negative. So it's right there in the Quran. They actually have different religions, different ways of life. It's just as vast as humans. And we think that we cannot escape from the punishment of Allah in the earth, nor can we escape from the punishment by flight. And indeed, when we heard the guidance, this Quran, we believe therein Islamic monotheism. And whosoever believes in his Lord shall have no fear, either of a decrease in the reward of his good deeds or an increase in punishment for his sins. And some of us are Muslims who have submitted to Allah after listening to this Quran. And some of us are Al-Kasutan, which is disbelievers who have deviated from the right way. And whosoever has embraced Islam, i.e. has become a Muslim by submitting to Allah, then such have sought the right path. And for the Kasutin, disbelievers who deviated from the right path. They shall be firewood for hell. If they non-Muslims had believed in Allah and went on the right way, i.e. Islam, we should surely have bestowed on them water, rain in abundance, that we might try them thereby. And whosoever turns away from this reminder of his Lord, i.e. this Quran, and practice not its laws and ordeals, he will cause him to enter a severe torment, i.e. hell. And the masjids, or the mosque, are for Allah alone. So invoke not anyone along with Allah. So again, this whole thing about invoking Allah by himself, again, this is mainstream Islam. So this whole why Allah is talking about I don't have any partners, no wife, no son, you know, all this, because again, this is combating the older religions. Remember, the Quran came after the Bible. So if we want to do it in chronological order. So when the Quran is speaking about all, you say this is the last holy book. So this is after the Torah already been on the planet, New Testament already been on the planet. So the Quran is the latest installment if we're talking about religious texts. So that's why it is banging on everybody else. And again, if the early stages of Quran, they were actually invoking the triple goddess, as I spoke about earlier. Maybe not this video, but the previous video. So that's why there's so much emphasis on not invoking other deities, because those people actually did invoke other deities prior to Allah manifesting. So that's why that they're banging, that point is being banged so hard. It has been revealed to me that when the slave of Allah, Muhammad, peace be upon him, stood up invoking his Lord Allah in prayer to him, they, the Jinn, just made round him a dense crowd, as if sticking one over the other in order to listen to the prophets. Yes, in order to listen to the prophet. Recitation. Alright. Say, O Muhammad, peace be upon him, I evoke only my Lord Allah alone, and I associate none as partners along with him. Say, it is not in my power to cause you harm or to bring you to the right path. Say, O Muhammad, peace be upon him, none can protect me from Allah's punishment if I were to disobey him, nor should I find refuge except in him. Mine is but, what is this? Conveyance of the truth from Allah in his message of Islamic monotheism. And whosoever disobeys Allah and his messenger, then verily for him is the fire of hell. He shall dwell therein forever, till when they see that which they are promised, then they will know who it is that is weaker concerning helpers and less important concerning numbers. Say, O Muhammad, peace be upon him, I know not whether the punishment which you are promised is near, or whether my Lord will appoint it for a distant term. He alone, the all-knower of the Ghaib, the unseen, he reveals to none his Ghaib, which is, oh, man. Some of these Arabic words just sense a jolt just up me. But a couple more lines here, and that'll be the end of the surah. Except to a messenger from mankind whom he has chosen, he informs him of unseen as much as he likes, and he makes a band of watching guards, angels, to march before him and behind him. He, Allah, protects them, the messengers, till he sees that they, the messengers, have conveyed the message of their Lord Allah, and he, Allah, surrounds all that which is them. And he, Allah, keeps count of all things, i.e. he knows the exact number of everything. So that is the chapter 72, or Surah 72, called the A.A.R Jinn. Okay. So again, the purpose of me reading that is to make a differentiation between the demons and the jinn. Some jinn are righteous and some are not. So I just wanted to quote that from the Quran so that we understand that not all are demonic or dangerous or out to do some madness, even though that is the label. Because we study the story of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was forced to be the prophet. He didn't want to take the job like none of us do. You don't just gracefully take on this job. So the angel Jibril, as we know as Gabriel, the angel Jibril had to squeeze the fuck out of him, squeeze the fuck out of the prophet 3 times. The angel told the prophet, Iqra, Iqra, Iqra. What is that? It means, well, no, it doesn't mean read. It means recite, recite, recite. So the angel Jibril is telling the prophet to recite, 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 Iqra, Iqra, Iqra. And he is like, recite what? I don't speak this language. So again, imagine you just see some Chinese on the wall and you don't speak Chinese, and some angels like, yo, quote this. And you're like, yo, I don't speak Chinese. Then the angel squeeze the fuck out of you one time. No, quote, motherfucker. Like, yo, I don't speak Chinese, squeeze you again. Quote, motherfucker. I don't speak Chinese, squeeze you again. You're like, yo, if this motherfucking angel squeeze me again, I'm gonna die. If you get squeezed one more time, you gonna die. So he quoted, or recited. I don't want to say quoted. He recited after that third. Because he felt like his life was gonna be over if he didn't. Like, yo, this motherfucker's gonna take my life. Just straight up away from it. So that's essentially how the Prophet Muhammad became the prophet. And that's why they call him, you know, a man who, what do they call him? It's just a word for what they call him. It's a certain word. Basically, he wasn't a wise man, right? He wasn't a well-scholared man. He was nothing of the sort. He was more so a businessman. He knew how to conduct business, how to run a business. He was nowhere near priesthood or doing anything spiritual. Was the furthest thing from it. Wasn't necessarily an evil person, but wasn't spiritual either. Until that event occurred, which forced him on his journey. Little did he know, right? And that's essentially, whenever we are reading the story of any of these prophets, they essentially get forced. They get a communication from the spirit, and they are forced to do deeds in which they don't even understand why or the purpose or what will be the result. But they are being divinely guided, so all they have to do is have faith, essentially. Right. Alright. So again, just want to document the evidence. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do it on the screen here. For whatever reason. As you guys see, I just had the screen up last video, but it's not letting me show anything. So again, I'm not going to make this video as long, because again, I can't show anything. Wanted to do a lot more. So what I'm going to do, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, because again, I'm not able to show anything. And I want to go a little deeper, but I think I've made my point here in terms of with time magic. So I'm going to stop this recording. I'm going to retitle the video. I'm going to fix this issue, whatever issue is stopping the iPad from connecting. So I may need to restart the computer or something. So I'm going to get this taken care of, and I'll be right back. Alright, so give me about 5-10 minutes. Now I'll be right back at y'all with the screens up and ready to show and prove these mathematics. So till then, 93. We out.